Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Evolution Podcast. Evolution Now, to be precise. I'm your host, Terrance Johnson. Everyone calls me Mr. J. Thank you so much for joining me today. As always, I want to thank everyone for the likes, the comments, the follows. The Instagram account's just blown up. All I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you. I had no idea we would do so well. And hopefully we'll continue in the process. Have a goal. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers here. So make sure you hit that follow button. It would be greatly appreciated. I want to talk to you today about some things, as always, when we talk about evolution. What does it mean to evolve? As obviously, if you looked at our previous reels, we deal a lot with prayer. We deal a lot with meditation, God, business, spirituality, philosophy, all the different things that are a part of our daily lives. What I want to talk to you today about is I want you to stop fighting God. What do I mean by that? People say, what do you mean by stop fighting God? Well, a lot of times we're fighting God. And let me explain to you what I mean. I'm going to give you a hypothetical situation. Let us suppose you go to the doctor and they tell you you have high blood pressure and that you need to reduce your sodium intake, and they put you on these prescription pills, okay? And you take these pills and yet you're still putting salt on it, and then you wind up getting ill and you're praying for God to heal you. Well, when you went to the doctor, they told you what was wrong. You know that you shouldn't be taking that much sodium. You know you shouldn't have salt and all those type of things, and yet you do it anyway. And instead of you doing what you know you're supposed to do, you go against it, and then you ask God to solve your problem. What I mean by fighting God is when one fails to do what one knows he or she should do. So when you fight God, when you're in traffic and someone cuts you off and you get angry, and that voice inside of you is telling you, let it go, but you don't. You get bitter. You might give them the finger or honk on a horn or whatever it is. That's fighting God, the God in you. When you know you should not argue with your wife or your husband or whatever the case might be, what I'm simply saying is by fighting God, when you are going against the very thing that's trying to change you to make you a better individual. I know that's kind of an oversimplification, but I just want you to understand a lot of us are fighting God. And how do we fight God? I guess in layman's terms is this: when you refuse to change, when you refuse to become better when you know you should be, when you refuse to become more loving and you refuse to do so, when you know you should be praying more, if you will, to praying on a regular basis, developing that relationship, if you will, and that understanding, or even keeping the commandments of God. Many of us say that we believe in God and this and that, but many people don't even keep the commandments of God. They lie, they steal, they commit adultery. They've done a lot of things. And by no means, let me make it crystal clear, I am not perfect. I strive for perfection. Matthew 5:48 says, be ye perfect as our Father in heaven is perfect. So at the same time, I know it's a process, but all of us in our society, in our world, most people believe in a higher power. Whether you call it God, Jesus Christ, the One, Allah, the Source, the universe, the Creator, the Mind, many different names have been subscribed to it. But it does not take away from the very fact that all of us know that we come from somewhere and we're going somewhere. And that's just the truth. Now, how are you living your life? Are you truly a righteous person? Are you a person who's filled with light, love, compassion, mercy, forgiveness? These are all the characteristics, long suffering. Or are you quick to get ill-tempered? Are you quick to become angry? Are you hard to forgive with other people if they wronged you? Do you go around holding a grudge against individuals? Are you a mean-spirited person? Many people in the world are like that. I look at the comments and I realize that many people are going to say that what I'm saying might be incorrect. And be that as it may, at my age, I really don't care too much what people think. But I've been on this planet long enough to realize that we are all here for a reason. We're not an accident. We're not some variable in an equation. We are here for a reason. And I believe that that reason is not only to serve our higher power, which I believe to be God, but also to serve others. We're only blessed to be a blessing to other people. So I highly encourage you to develop a mindset where you ask yourself on a daily basis, am I living in my purpose? Am I serving God? Now, that doesn't mean I'm talking about your job and how you pay your bills. That's how you live in this world. We all have to have money to live. I totally get that. But what I'm saying to you is, when you go out in society, are you representing the very best of yourself, who you are, what you do, and what you're about? I want you to stop fighting change. Stop fighting the very thing you know you need to change about yourself. When I was a young man, I had a very bad temper. I was quick to get angry. That was my go-to safe zone, if you will, was anger, profanity, cursing, just being livid, being vexed. And as I've gotten older, I realized that all those things just take years off your life. That's all it does. It takes years off your life. Is it an overnight change? No, it is a process. As with the basic rule of nature itself, it starts with the seed, which is your thought. Your mind is the soil, if you will, in which you place the seed, and then you have to water that seed with your words. And in time, that seed will grow, and then you will produce the change that you want in your life. Nothing happens by accident. Everything is done in accordance to a greater plan, if you will. There's a scripture that teaches us that says all things work together for the good, for those that love God. Now, there is the condition. Do you love God? Well, if you love God, I highly encourage you to keep God's commandments. The world is filled with darkness. Of this be no doubt. The world is filled with darkness. There is evil permeating through our society as freely as the air. And many of us, for whatever reason, seem to stick our head in the sand like it doesn't exist. Well, I'm not that type of individual. I'm going to tell you what I see. We're all running out of time. It's just that simple. And what I mean by that, the world itself isn't, but we are as individuals. We're on a clock. We're born and we have a certain amount of time to live, and then we're going to die. In between the time you're born and the time you die, you call it your life. I want you to have a good life. I want you to be successful. But success is not just earning money. I'm not opposed to making as much money as you possibly can. I have a basic rule of thumb. Make as much as you can, as fast as you can, for as long as you can. Okay? Let me be crystal clear about that. There's nothing wrong with making money. But at the same time, that money and success only means something if you have someone that you love and you can enjoy sharing it with. And not just someone you love, but so many people are in need. The world is in great need of great leaders, great thinkers, great people. And I believe those individuals who follow my channel are those people. You're a great leader. You're a great thinker. Be all that you truly can be in this life. I really want you to ponder it. I want you to meditate. Someone wrote in the comments that meditation, I guess they perceive it to be evil. But if you read the great book of Psalms, to meditate, or the definition to muse, to ponder thought, no, to meditate, to be in thought. How can you make a contribution not only to your life and your loved ones, but to the world itself? You came from the heavens, if you will, the ethereal realm, into this realm of existence for a reason. Of course, you can have a nice house, nice cars, great relationships, great friends. We all desire that. But most importantly, have I found my purpose? Why do I exist? Stop fighting. Another thing I want to touch on that I see a lot of people are dealing with is fear. You're just going to have to not be afraid. Fear is a spirit. It controls people in a lot of ways. It keeps people from expanding and growing in ways that they can't possibly imagine because they're afraid of the perception of others or what people might think or say about them. I totally get it. But that being said, it is still something that can be overcome. I need you to be as bold as a lion and as harmless as a dove. I'm going to say that to you again. I want you to be as bold as a lion. There's a message that's taught to us, behold, I send you out as sheep amidst the wolves. Well, I'm just a sheep, if you will, but disguised as a wolf. There is no reason for you to be weak. There is no reason for you to be subservient. You must make up your mind that you're going to find whatever it is that you were sent here to do and do it. Because if you do not, you would have failed at the task of your assignment. I hope this makes sense to you. How do I come in contact with these things? How do I understand what it is that you're telling me, Mr. J? How do I become this individual that's not fighting God? How do I become this great person you're referencing? Well, let me just give you some steps that I think will help you. Number one, I need you to learn to love yourself. Particularly, I say this to men because we don't have these type of conversations. I'm not saying we're soft, we weak, we simps, none of that. Miss me with all that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm simply saying to you is, as a man, you need to learn to love yourself. I did not know what it was to love myself or how to love myself until I got married and my wife kept telling me to go to the doctor. You know, a lot of us guys, we won't go to the hospital. And then when you do go, it's too late, you're sick, it's terminal. We all know what I'm saying. And I really had to understand that my physical well-being, not just my financial well-being, needed to be a priority in my life. How do you love yourself? A lot of times we will put ourselves last. And I say this to both men and women. Unfortunately, I see this a lot with women. They put their children first above all things else. And I understand it, but understand that your children will grow up and leave you. And with men, they'll put their wife and children first and at the same time neglect their own health and their well-being and mindset. Well, the word we need to have in this whole conversation, I think, is just the word balance. You need to balance that all out, to where your life is one of balance, where you're meeting the needs of your family, your significant other, but also taking care of your own needs as well. This is absolutely imperative, I believe, if you want to have a balanced and productive life. I see so many people reaching out to me on Instagram and DMing, what do you call it, the DMs? You got to forgive me, I'm old school, but that's what they're doing. And so many, it's impossible for me to reach everybody. I don't even know how I can go about figuring that out, but that's what's happening. And so many people are in need of help. So many people are in need of encouragement. So many people are in need of just financial literacy. What do I do? So many people want their lives to be better, not just for them, but for their children. So many mothers are worried about their sons and the things that they're into, or their daughters and the lifestyle that they're living. And I'm not talking about alternative lifestyles. I'm just saying the mere fact of them existing in this world and how they see their children 5 and 10 years down the road. Peer pressure is tough. It's tough. The society that we live in is constantly pulling on you all the time through the media, the music, fashion, whatever is the trend, whatever's popular, if you will, in our society. What I would encourage each of you to do, particularly with your children, is to let them know how much you care about them and how much you love them. And if you could develop some type of habit where you would actually pray with your children, talk to your children, talk to them, not at them. This is very important. Talk to them and not at them. I was not always successful as this as a parent, but as I've gotten older, I've learned to be better at it. The fact still remains that ultimately, as the mom, as the dad, whether you're a single mom, single dad, it doesn't matter, that you still have great influence. You must be the example that you want them to become. It is very hypocritical for people to say one thing and do something entirely different. And this is something that I don't understand in society, but nevertheless, it still exists. I want you to understand your relevance in their lives, in the lives of others, your co-workers, your colleagues. Quit trying to fit in. This is another thing, assimilation. Most people become drones, robots. They're not really being who they are because they want to assimilate or just fit into society without being ridiculed. I don't care what people think. I'm going to say that to you again. I really don't. It doesn't bother me anymore. It used to, particularly when I was younger, but not anymore. I say all that to say this. Listen to me. Life is for you, not against you. Life is happening to you and for you and through you. You are the conduit of it. You must understand that you are more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And these things, for whatever reason, are just hidden from us. From the time that you're born, you're indoctrinated into what we call the society. I think the popular term now is called the matrix. Be that as it may. The fact is you are assimilating into a culture and you lose a lot of times, or stripped of your own identity, the things that you want to pursue, your creativity. There's only one right answer. You guys know what I'm trying to get at, but I beg to differ. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I want you to learn to become resourceful. A very wealthy individual that I know gave me some good advice many moons ago. He says to me, Mr. Johnson, when one lacks resources, one will learn to become resourceful. At the time, because I was in need, I didn't appreciate the comment, but as I've gotten older, it was so true. Nothing is impossible to you. I want you to truly understand that nothing is impossible to you. Within the realm of reason is what I mean also when I make that statement. Nothing is impossible. So how do I do it? Number one, love yourself. Number two, forgive yourself. Number three, purge yourself of the darkness. Darkness is a real thing. Anger, being indecisive, being worried, being filled with anxiety, being depressed, being you're an insomniac, you can't sleep at night. And we find these different things to try to escape our reality, whether it's smoking weed, drinking alcohol, whatever the case might be. And let me be crystal clear, it's not like I've never done those things myself. And yes, I did in hell. So let's just put that right there. Little sense of humor for you, because I'm a person. I don't want you to look at me and think that I'm some person that never has problems or never has situations or circumstances that I have to figure out a way to, get through it or whatever the case. I am no different than you are. The only difference is I've removed my inhibition of being fearful and standing in front of a camera or sitting in front of one and expressing to you my thoughts and my feelings and hoping that in some way it inspires you to get up and to continue to move forward. As long as you have breath and your health and your mind, there is something called hope. Now, a lot of people knock the word hope. No, hope is not a strategy. Hope might not be a strategy, but it doesn't take away that hope still is very much productive and powerful. I want you to believe in yourself and not doubt yourself. This is very important. Many of my mentees that I deal with beat themselves up over the past, the mistakes that they made. You could do nothing about the past except learn from it. So I highly encourage you, hey, if you made a mistake, be it financial, I got in a bad relationship, whatever the case might be, you know what mistakes you might have made. Hey man, brush yourself off, get yourself up, and continue to move forward. The last thing I want to touch on is patience. In this world, even this is going to be on Instagram, instant. People can microwave a bowl of soup in 3 minutes now. You have a meal in 3 minutes. Because you believe that our grandparents would have never had such a thing. Everybody wants everything right now. Patience truly is a virtue. And I highly encourage you to let patience have its perfect work. You don't have to waste time wasting time, but you must give time for it to do what it needs to do. Most of us don't understand patience and the relevance of it, but let me give you some food for thought. The way you are taught patience is by one way and one way only, in my opinion. You are made to wait. And in your waiting is the anxiety. In your waiting is the anxiousness of something you wanting to transpire. If you understand that life is for you, God is for you, you keep the commandments of God to the best of your ability on a daily basis, in time, and if it be His will, these things will manifest. I don't want you to walk around fearful, and you don't have to beg God or the universe for anything. As a matter of fact, I would highly encourage you to command the things that you want into your life. Many people, in my humble opinion, go about these certain elements of prayer in the incorrect way. You don't have to beg. You don't have to beg and plead. Please, you don't have to do that. You are to command it and to call it to you. You are literally to attract it to you because you have the magnetism within you to do it. But what it's predicated upon is not merely just your words, but also your faith and your action. As I've stated before, when you place faith with actions, you produce something called miracles. I hope this word has inspired you in some way. Know that you matter, know that you are special, and know that your life is not over. I'm Mr. Johnson. I look forward to hearing from you. And we'll speak soon. Have a great day. Take care.